Welcome back to the broadcast. We teased what our match was going to be before our short break, and I mean, let's just dive straight into talking about it as well. Four excellent players still in the upper bracket of our mixed solo competition: Bozbez, Elcon, Postito, Paco, and Hill. And Orion, coming to you first, you mentioned it at the top of the day. You were excited to see Bozbez play.
Very excited. Has won everything there is to win within the tournaments that we run over at BITM. Like I just brought up his Liquipedia page just to rattle off a few tournaments. There's no point me even naming them. He's just won all of them.
Yeah.
Absolutely incredible player. Hasn't featured too much professionally in terms of
Yeah.
TMGL, TM World Tour, etc. And I think maybe for that reason, some people are sleeping on him. Like that. What I'll say is,
Yeah.
like, if you know Boz, you know what he's capable of. If you don't, then you might say like, oh, who's this Bozbez guy? Oh, like I know Epos, British guy, good, drive fast. But like Boz is like up there and can beat Epos on his day. So I'm flying the flag firmly here for Boz, and possibly I could say he could even win this match.
Yeah, I'm with you. I think especially that point that players that people know from the UK, especially over the last couple of years, Epos, Pac, obviously, Josh, Jadon, but Boz has, as you say, kind of, I think, been flying under the radar a little bit for the more international audience, if they're not in the weeds of what's going on in the actual British and Irish tournaments that are happening over there as well. But Boz, yeah, definitely a force to be reckoned with. Two players, G-Geek, that the audience will be intimately familiar with. Two players who have been everywhere over many, many years. Elcon and Postito Paco.
Yeah, indeed. Elcon and Postito Paco, Postito Paco became a bit more of a recent acquaintance. Elcon has been there for a little bit longer than Postito Paco has. And in terms of the competitive side, he did make a pretty solid breakthrough with his first time appearance in Trackmania, where he finished into the consolidation final, if my memory serves right. P5, 6, thereabouts, was one of the participants in Trackmania Grand League in 2023, along with Mime. He also participated in the Comic-Con Baltics last year, which he won, along with another player who's into the Trackmania games, Letzter, of course, from Germany, and definitely someone you cannot discount. Always a force to be reckoned with as well, but definitely someone who has the reputation of being a bit of a glass cannon. He can certainly be fast, but more often than not, we can find him go a little bit too far off the deep end and hit some walls, either with corners of the car or broadside of the car. So it can be very, very tricky to predict the result, but definitely, if Elcon's in their match, you better pay attention.
Well, that's just it, too, because, like, I don't think hitting walls is necessarily a bad thing for Postito Paco. Just look at the line that they were able to discover on Bourdon going into that third checkpoint. A little bit of a wall tap with that right rear wheel gets the faster entry, the tighter apex, and more often than not is able to hold the speed on the exit as well through that U-turn. So I'm going to be excited to see how that looks into it. But realistically, I mean, there's so many similarities between the Hungarian driver as well as Elcon coming into this one that I think watching the two of them go toe-to-toe, push each other, add Bozbez into the mix as well. Yeah, this quarterfinal is shaping up to be, I think, fireworks. And look, I feel a little bit bad. All right, there is a fourth driver. We should give, Heil some love as well. Maybe pronounce their name correctly. I don't know. You're not one of the big three in my eyes, so maybe I won't. We'll see how you perform.
Yeah, it's going to be super interesting. It's going to be a very difficult match for Hill in this one to continue on in the upper bracket with. Just looking at the results, lost to Josh 1248 in the previous round, but still top two. Has already beaten Scandier and Spammy J today, Orion. I mean, in terms of scalps to take on your way to an upper bracket quarterfinal, those are some pretty good names to send into the lower bracket.
Yeah, but I mean, 2 second places to get here. You've got to think that, we're at top 16 uppers and we're going to top 8. If he hasn't even won a match yet, do you think really that he's kind of got the standard to be able to go forwards? I'm not sure.
Yeah.
I'm not sure.
That's how it works. No, if you haven't won yet, that means you're saving your win for, when it's important, like now. Due for a win.
I'm not entirely convinced that's how that works for him.
Then you can't win them at the end.
That's, hey,
Yeah.
No, No, I don't think that's true. Although,
Yeah, no.
I was
no.
kind of thinking back to Carl Jr.'s performance at XP Evo that happened a few months ago, where he saved all of his good rounds for the end of every match, and that did, I guess, work out for him over the course of that event as he continued to pull off miraculous comebacks. We'll see if Hill has a miracle in him on this one, because I do think for sure our kind of top three going into this match are Boz, Elcon, and Pushtito Paco, who, if I may say, if any of them are currently watching stream, please get into the lobby. That'd be great.
Yeah.
Other quarterfinals have already begun, but we're apparently missing 3 of our players for this one. We will get this match underway as soon as we find those players. If anyone knows the whereabouts of any of the players involved in this match, please do run into their bedrooms and
Who's
shout
the
at them a
good
little
boy?
bit for us.
Who's the one who's actually in? Do we know that?
I couldn't possibly say. To be
Elcon.
favoritism, it's Elcon. It's Elcon, yeah.
Alright, good. All right. I'm saying right now, Elcon's gonna win. Then I'm
Yeah,
predicting right now.
we're making
Elcon's
calling it
prepped, ready to
immediately.
go. They're getting through.
Yeah, okay, fair enough. I mean, look, we have a little bit of time to kill here, so let's talk a little bit about maybe predictions for what's going on in the other matches. G-Geek, my eyes are drawn inevitably to that third match down on the list, the all-big, nearly affair, Leicester, Grenadi, New Prime, and Thomas Jean. I mean, a lot to prove, it feels like, there for Grenadi, because he is the one remaining member of Big in the upper bracket against the 2 members of the Big Academy in this match.
Yeah, exactly. And if you're Thomas Jean, you might be feeling a little bit under pressure because, yeah, you see that whole row of German flags, Schwarz-Rot-Gold, and you compare that with the lone Swiss flag in there. You're like, yeah, I'm feeling a little bit lonely in there. But yeah, you said for Grenadi, it's definitely a bit of a point of real, not quite real pressure, but definitely a little bit at stake, given that you said he's the only member of the main big team in the upper bracket. Leicester and New Prime are definitely going to be able to give him a run for his money, judging by past performances in past tournaments, mind you. But still, this is definitely going to be a bit of a barn burner, this match, if I do say so myself.
Super fun. And I mean, the 3 German players still in the upper bracket quarterfinals, all in one match. 3 British players, Orion, spread out nicely, evenly across the all of the quarterfinals then as well. One of the things, actually, sorry, just while we're on it, actually, the Brits who are here, because only 4 players from each country, max, allowed to complete in the mixed solo. Orion, I was a little bit surprised to see that Jadon has been tapped for the competitive rather than, or for the tech rather than for the mixed maps in general.
Yeah, I don't really know what Jadon's strengths and weaknesses are, to be honest. I mean, I know
he's been doing very well in mixed, you know? I mean, he's been having a great year of it.
He's been doing the fast learn, and I know he is a cup of the day Andy, so I'm expecting very strong things from Jadon there. Tech over mixed, I don't know. I guess an internal decision was made. I don't want to speculate too much. Maybe that's just what he was more comfortable.
I mean, a little bit of wild speculation is always enjoyable, you know? I mean, that's half what we're here for. Jadon is actually terrible at mixed, and the only reason he's ever done well in mixed is because it has some tech turns. Is that what we're saying? I think I heard you say that, Orion.
I can neither confirm or deny.
Yeah, fair. Formal, you were, I think, in the middle of saying something and I cut you off, as happens so
I was
often
just thinking,
in our working relationship.
it was just about German min-maxing compared to the British being, you know, the boring. We're going to be the all-rounder. Nothing important.
Spreading out, sure. Okay, nothing too important there. And I mean, what other nationalities do we still... Well, we still have at this point, we're getting to the point where it's kind of less about what nationalities are represented and more about which players are here, right? Like, I mean, it is important. We do have that overall leaderboard that, you know, we'll be showing at the end of the day how things are starting to shape up. Not a huge amount will have moved on it just yet, is the quick answer. But over the coming weeks, we will start to see that leaderboard start to take shape as we get results coming through from various events as well. But already things, Formal, starting to look pretty good for, you know, the Germans, the Brits. Maybe a little surprising, there's not many French names, at least still in the upper bracket of this mixed solo. You expect the French to come in as a powerhouse, and I mean, mixed is the premier style. There's 2 French players left? That can't be right.
Yeah, that actually is a bit of a shocker for sure. I feel like that would be better suited for, you know, the Frenchman on the panel, for like G-Geek on this one. What is, like,
this is true.
Where
are all the French players, G-Geek?
Yeah, that's the kind of thing I'm looking at. I'm looking at it. We had We have plenty of representation at the start of the tournament, but now only Novo is left in the upper bracket and only Gwen is in the lower bracket. Gwen, who makes a return, another return to the competitive scene after having tried some things, and especially in the final part of 2024 with the Trackmania World Tour at that time. And yeah, definitely a little bit behind the ball on this one for the young Frenchman, for the winner. Gwen is certainly someone we shouldn't have to introduce him, but I guess it might be good to introduce him still. Winner of Ascension, multiple winner of the ZRT Cup, one of the hottest talents when he entered the Trackmania Grand League. Almost took the crown away from Carl Jr. in fall 2020. That was all the way back at the beginning of the life cycle for the game. But here so far, his round record in the very first round lost to Neon and Elcon in his particular match, and then he started to mount his fight back in the lower bracket with the win over Jaka, Naive, and Mudda, knocking Mudda out of the tournament, and then winning ahead of Alex, Miles, and Spam, taking Spam out of the tournament as well. So maybe a bit of a case of a diesel start, quote-unquote, for Mr. Gwendal Dupart, but yeah, I'm kind of expecting him to go a little bit better, but it has some of the matches have definitely gone underway. We can see that he might be a little bit more heading back towards his winning ways, currently leading his match, quote-unquote.
Speaking of matches already being underway, while we wait for this match to start, whether or not players show up at some point, hey, great, we'll come back when it does. In the meantime, G-Geek and Orion as our casters for this next match. We're going to send Formal off. You may have to cross a few oceans to get there. We're going to send you into the all-German affair. Let us know how things are getting on, and we'll send you over to the other match when it starts. Off you go. Enjoy it. Have a good one.
All right, so it's going to be the all-German affair with Letzter, Granati, New Prime, and Thomas Jean, and we join in at the end of the very first round, and it will be Letzter who takes the opening round in the opening 10-pointer, Granati and New Prime second and third, and Thomas Jean in P4, almost in the same order as we saw the bracket, actually, the match being laid out, actually, Orion.
Yeah, I mean, we were speaking about that match one, so I guess we didn't really do a prediction here. Do you think we get two Germans going through, or do you think Thomas Jean can throw a spanner in the works and knock one of these guys out? Well,
this is definitely going to be... I'm going with the voice of reason. I feel like it's going to be a Germany lock-in, to be completely honest. The bigger question is going to be who will be locked in. Is Granati going to be bumped into the lower bracket, or is he going to be making his way to the semifinal? That's the bigger question at hand, and I don't think I can answer that quite just yet.
I mean, Granati hasn't faltered yet, has won both of his matches so far, and against people like Massa, Kvik, Nitek, Smiley Bob. So I think Granati probably is the favorite, right? But then who is next? Is it New Prime or Letzter? We saw in seeding that Letzter was pretty rapid across most maps, so I'd be favoring him personally, but we know how good of a player New Prime can be as well, and I still don't count Thomas Jean out. I don't think it's going to be a complete whitewash. Like, there will be some strong rounds for the Swiss player.
I totally see what you're saying there, but at first glance, you can't deny that there's definitely going to be an uphill battle going on for the Swiss, which are currently on board with representing, of course, the Helvetic Confederation with that beautiful livery, might I add, that we saw a little bit earlier on in 2025, as he currently is trying to lock horns with Granati and Letzter with first and second and New Prime. A little bit earlier on has made a very significant mistake that drops him to 3 seconds down. He's completely out of the picture, and now Thomas Jean pressing B for both, trying to lead the charge against Germany, trying to make a move for the lead, but Letzter is right there to try and cover him off as we make our way through the checkpoints number 8 and 9. We go very close to the outside wall there for Granati, trying to put the pressure on Thomas Jean. Letzter will take the win in the 10-pointer, second 10-pointer in 3 rounds for the man from Big Academy. Then Thomas Jean in second, Granati third, and New Prime in P4. And with that, Letzter will be able to retake the lead away from Granati, who snatched it in the second round.
That was a great time there from Letzter as well, just
3/10
shy of the world record. So driving excellently so far, but it was a close round between Granati, Thomas Jean, and Letzter. It's the ending from Letzter as well. Like, just carries so much speed through the grass and the outside dirt. Other players seem to kind of take a much wider entry, but he kind of takes that narrower line and uses a small brake tap to get into that outside dirt, and it does seem to shave off a tenth or two. So it'll be interesting to see if Letzter, if he's trailing towards the middle of the map, can actually make up that time in the ending and beat the players in front of him.
Currently sitting towards sector number 3 with Granadi and New Prime locking horns for the battle for the lead. Leicester just a 10th behind, keeping a close eye on the proceedings, seeing New Prime slow down and mounting the charge for second place, and Thomas Jean a little bit further removed compared to where he would like to be, and it's going to be an all-German fight once again. Granadi, Leicester, and New Prime, it's all scrambled up as they make their way towards the finish line, and it will be Granadi this time getting the upper hand with a 48,000th advantage over New Prime, and then just 3 milliseconds behind. Leicester will be going away with a lowly 4-pointer, which will see Granadi move back up into the lead with a 30 points tally, which means we are a quarter of the way through to finalist status, and you could see briefly the change in the scores on the upper right of the screen. We're no longer going to 100 points for finalists, we're going to 120, so a little bit more leeway maybe for the standings to shuffle around, and a little bit of a longer road ahead than what we saw so far in this mixed solo tournament as we make our way through to Cryomass, which will be our second map.
Second map. And we go into warm-up, as you say, Granadi with a very slim lead, 30 points compared to Leicester's 28. Is it actually Thomas Jean in 18th? That first map not really favouring New Prime, who is just 2 points adrift in 4th place. See if the trend continues. It does look like Granadi and Leicester are the strongest players in the match right now, but anything can change. We have a little bit of slipperiness in this map. We'll see if that favors any of the players.
Here we go then for round number 1 out of 4 here on this rotation of Cryomass. Great apex line for New Prime at the very tail end of the ice slide. He will be exiting into the lead at the lead of a 3-way fight for the lead with New Prime, Leicester, Granadi, who are going to be shuffling around and exchanging positions corner after corner, checkpoint after checkpoint, as we do see Tomajo now mounting a charge against Leicester, who had a bit of a slower entry into checkpoint number 6 in that long slingshot in that uphill left dirt turn, and now Tomajo settling himself in 3rd, but now sees Leicester coming back at him. Moving on to sector number 3 with that secondary ice slide, gets the snap back on the plastic really beautifully. New Prime with a great setup and such a close apex towards the neon on the inside. New Prime still in the lead, Granadi tracing him by 42 to 60 milliseconds in the last few checkpoints. And look at the comeback from Leicester at the line to snipe away Granadi's second place with just 3 milliseconds of a deficit, and it will be New Prime taking a valuable 10-pointer ahead of Leicester, who will who will be tied on points with Granadi. New Prime in 3rd with 26, and Tomajo in 4th with 21.
Yeah, this finish has so much snipe potential just because of the horizontal placement. You can get in early, and despite, you know, your opponent being slightly in front, if they have to take a wider line and avoid crashing into the side of the finish, then you really can gain, you know, just that half a tenth that might win you the round, as it did there. As you say, Granadi and Leicester now both tied, 34 points. New Prime puts himself up into 3rd place on 26, and Thomas Jean now 21 points. The Swiss player falling behind his German adversaries.
Sector number 3 started now. New Prime versus Thomas Jean. This is looking like a very, very stout round from the Swiss driver in comparison to the German trio, with Granadi falling by the wayside 2/10 down, and now you see a nice 3-way now make it 4-way fight as Granadi comes back towards the tail end of the track, but Thomas Jean goes too wide into the grass, promoting Leicester into the lead, and he will be losing big time. He goes from 1st to 4th in the space of a single corner, throwing 7 points into the bin. That has got to be so painful feeling for the Swiss driver. And Leicester, with that 10-pointer, will assume the lead with a 6-point gap over Granadi, 44 to 38.
Seems like after 8 rounds, I was going to say Leicester's going to be halfway there, but 120 points is the target now, as you say, not the 100 that we have been seeing from previous rounds. So a few more maps to be seen. It's very likely that the 3rd map in the rotation will be played twice, which we haven't seen so far. Just kind of depends how the field stretches out, really, doesn't it? If you get that one player taking the commanding lead, then things could be over quite quickly. But if you have players exchanging blows and you know, finishing in different positions regularly, then we could see a more extended match and a more extended fight going on here.
Currently sitting towards the end of sector number 3, the end of the map, with New Prime leading, but a very, very close battle between him, Thomas Jean, and Letzter for the benefit of that third place. Granati completely out of it, half a second down. What an attack for Thomas Jean, but it will not be enough to dislodge New Prime, who gets another valuable 10-pointer with a 57.835, 43 milliseconds ahead of Thomas Jean, who himself is barely 27 milliseconds ahead of Letzter, Granati in P4, and there will be one more round to go in this particular three-way Germany matchup, along with Thomas Jean. And Thomas Jean currently sitting 11 points behind the first German player he trails, which is Granati, which is looking a little bit more dire than it looked at first glance after coming out of Bourdon.
Yeah, Granati, first big mistake I've seen him make there, ended up in 4th place, 7/10 off the finish. Or first place, I should say, and that has put him into 3rd place in the match, but he's only 7 points adrift of Letzter, only 1 point behind New Prime. He's been arguably the best player in the lobby so far, so I wouldn't think it's going to dent his confidence too much. He is driving supremely and finds himself in 1st place in this round as we go into the final couple of tech turns, and here comes Letzter with a beautiful drift going past Thomas Jean there. It's Germany 1, 2, 3. The Swiss driver tries, he might, just can't keep up with the other players in the lobby. It's going to be close at the finish again. Granati just about makes it despite the wider line. New Prime 3,000ths behind, Letzter 300ths behind, and Thomas Jean bringing up the rear.
Thomas Jean bringing up the rear, but that 10-pointer from Granati will actually tighten up the battle quite nicely between the three Germans. 4 points from 1st to 3rd after that second map. And yeah, this was looking very, very shaky from Granati, but he manages to pull it out at the last second with that final round victory on Cryomass as they make their way to Addiction, I think.
Yep. Now on to Addiction, and honestly, no idea who this map favors. It's just kind of, threading the needle, as it were. You've got to go so close to all of the obstacles and, just try and pixel clip the reactor boosts to get the best line going forward, carry as much speed as you can through these turns. Granati, I believe, is back into 1st place after a brief dip. No, he's not. Still 1 point behind Letzter. New Prime still up there. So there is a bit of a chasm forming between the Germans and Thomas Jean now, who is 15 points adrift of 3rd place.
It is kind of expected to see that chasm sort of form, as Thomas Jean was definitely the one entering this at as an outsider position, should I say, in this quarterfinal. He's definitely had some flashes of brilliance there, but so far it's not been enough to really swing the momentum around to his side as we make our way through round number 1 here on Addiction. Granati leading ahead of Letzter, Thomas Jean in 3rd. New Prime with a bit of a slower first sector will drop down to 4th momentarily, but still within the right train, although he will not be for very long with that little clip from the right rear heading towards checkpoint number 7 over the crest. Granati in the lead, Letzter in 2nd, trying to dislodge Thomas Jean, but Thomas Jean is not giving up without a fight. He's not going to go down without putting it all on the track, and he makes his way into the lead of the race through checkpoint number 10. Will he be able to retain it through checkpoint 11 in the final snap towards the finish line? And the answer is a yes, and Letzter will jump over the finish line. The plank sends him over the arch, and he will be forced to go through the safer finish. New Prime saves 1 extra point compared to where he would have been. Letzter down to 4th and will allow Granati to take the lead, and Thomas Jean with a superb 3rd sector will get a very, very important 10-pointer in this match for him.
Yeah, it would have been a wicked trick if he was playing the 1-up campaign, but unfortunately just didn't have the speed there to make the finish cleanly, and does go from 3rd to 4th. So unfortunate there for Letzter making that mistake, but I don't think it's going to trouble him too much as we go on to the next round, and he is already putting himself in the lead here. Great lines, great speed carried. I thought he was going to clip the outside of the plastic there, but just about gets away with it. Following closely behind is Granati, who makes the overtake now on the inside. And New Prime just behind Thomas Jean with a small mistake is 7/10 behind. New Prime there with a clip after the outside dirt allows Thomas Jean to come back through, but it is Letzter and Granati up at the business end of the pack. Granati misses the reactor boost though, but it doesn't seem to cost him any time.
He might have just... You're sure you actually missed it? Because I thought he might have just...
I didn't see it.
He might have just caught the very edge of the wheel for it. Yeah, could be that as well. But indeed, Granati managing to make his way through the third sector beautifully, and thus will clock in a 57.597 with a 10-pointer in the books. Leicester will get +6, Thomas-Jean +4 with that mistake from New Prime. That's the second time in 2 rounds that New Prime gets caught out on that crest with the outside dirt line and clips with the right rear. This time it will be Thomas-Jean, though, who clips at the edge of the wall in turn number 1. Not checkpoint number 1, turn number 1, and now we see a lot of variance, especially with New Prime over that slalom over the plastic sausage road, getting completely out of shape and completely crossed up, and thus dropping down to the last place. Moving on to the battle for the lead then between Leicester and Granadi. It's advantage to Leicester by about a 10th to a 10th and a half, heading towards checkpoint 6 and 7, the end of the second sector here on Addiction, as we make our way through that dirt turn and then onto the double right. Did Leicester actually clip on the inside? It looks as though it was the case. He completely fumbles it and thus will be half a second down, allowing Thomas-Jean to make back up some ground, potentially mounting a fight for second place. He might be a little bit late to the party, though, as we make our way through to the last dirt slide. It will not be enough. Granadi with yet another 10-pointer in the books with a .677. Leicester in second, Thomas-Jean in third, New Prime in P4, and Granadi moves on to 77 points. And we got the funny number, I'm afraid, on Leicester side. Yep, there it is, 67, 58 for New Prime, and 51 for Thomas-Jean at the end of that round. And as we move on to the fourth and final round of the first rotation of maps.
Yeah, Leicester looks like he has a really good start compared to everyone else, but then just kind of falls away slightly in the... Oh, never mind. That's not gone well, has it? That's really not gone well.
And it seems as though it's not going anymore. It's continuing to get worse and worse for Leicester, isn't it? It definitely seems like it with the clips that we've seen a little bit later on in the round.
Yeah, I was going to say he's been second best to Granadi in the second half of the map, but yeah, a small clip there to start things off is going to put him firmly in fourth place, but we do still have a very close contest up at the front. New Prime this time leading around for what feels like the first time on this map. See if he can hold on to it as we go through the bug slide. Carries just enough speed, isn't going to get sniped, makes it into the finish beautifully. Granadi just behind, but New Prime does get that 10 point for the win.
And with that, Granadi moves up to 83. We round up the points tally for Leicester on 70, 68 for New Prime, and 55 for Thomas-Jean, thus concluding the first map rotation. And yeah, so far, I mean, Leicester has had a couple of difficult rounds on the final rotation of Addiction, but he definitely looks to be on the sharp end. Don't let the name fool you, because he might be last in that name, but he certainly looks to be first on the racetrack as we circle all the way back to Bordeaux. And again, a quick score recap for those of you who just joined in. Granadi onto the lead with 83. Leicester in second place with 70 points. 68 for New Prime, who's just shy of trying to go for that provisional second spot. And then Thomas-Jean trailing at 55 points, trailing New Prime by 13 points.
Yeah, Granadi would need 4 perfect rounds here to get onto finalist on this map, as he is currently 37 points adrift. So it's going to be on... I've forgotten the ice map's name, man.
Cryomass.
Cryomass. It's going to be Cryomass when we will potentially see our first finalist mathematically, as New Prime drives into the checkpoint there to start things off. So Thomas-Jean, Leicester and Granadi are going to be leading the charge on the second rotation of maps here.
Leicester, Thomas-Jean and Granadi, the order of the three-way fight up front, and it will be Granadi going a little bit wide actually on the wood, and thus traveling a little bit more distance, allowing some gap to build up between him and Thomas-Jean Leicester, the duo who are fighting for the lead, making back a three-way fight again for that said number 1 spot, as Granadi continues to play a little bit of a yo-yo game with that gap as the corners and the checkpoints succeed one to another. Leicester still in the lead, 30 milliseconds ahead of Thomas-Jean, trying to go for the full slingshot, not really paying off so far. Leicester was a little bit more risky, maybe lost a little bit of speed at the exit of that particular slingshot, but not enough to completely jeopardize his first position, which he validates with a .305, 47 milliseconds ahead of Thomas-Jean. Then Granadi a 10th and a half behind the leader in third place. New Prime in P4. Leicester moving on to 80 points. He's 2/3 of the way towards finalist. And for Thomas-Jean's side, we actually passed the halfway mark at 61.
That was a really nice time as well. 0.3's driven there. That's 55.3, only 0.3 off the world record. So you can see the standard that we have in the lobbies now. We are up to our top 16 in the upper quarterfinals. So many players. Like, I mean, we had a stacked lineup when we had 270 players. Now we only have 32 left as Grenade absolutely sends it through the wood there. Gets a little bit too much speed on the plastic, and the inside line is going to put him firmly back in 4th place. But if you want to see how that section should be driven, that is case in point there from Grenade.
Grenade continuing to try and hang on for dear life, trying to battle for second against Thomas Jean. New Prime still holding on to a pretty steadfast lead, but now seeing everybody actually group back up, and it will be a 4-way fight potentially to the line, and it will be New Prime resisting until the very end with a 55.390, 75 milliseconds ahead of Grenade, who himself is 5 milliseconds ahead of Letzter. 1, 2, 3 will be all locked in for Germany, and it will be a very tough fight that unfortunately we're going to have to leave behind for this particular moment, because it seems as though our original featured match with Elcon and Bosbez will be coming onto his own actually just a little bit with Elcon and Pustito Paco rather, sorry. And we are about to be thrown into the round in just a few moments' time.
Yeah, I guess we can talk about this match again. We will leave the German versus Swiss battle alone, and we will instead focus on Boz versus Elcon versus Pustito Paco and Hill. I mean, earlier I think we all agreed that Elcon would be the likely victor here. I made my case for Bosbez, but just seeing how dominant, consistent, fast Elcon was in seeding, I'm not sure that there's many, if anyone, in this bracket that is able to beat him on these maps here.
Yeah, this is definitely going to be a very, very rough battle up ahead for... well, it's going to be a rough match up ahead for everybody. It's going to be a very, very interesting match to attend to as we get to our first map. And actually, surprise! We get to Bordeaux again for our opening map. It seems as though it gets a little bit of a favor, a bit of a favor for being chosen as a start map. That may be a bit conspiracy there, but whatever. It's still going to be Leroy and Feed's map that is going to be acting as the opening of the rotation for this match as well.
We're not watching the warm up. Do you know what? No, I won't spoil it. Let's just watch. Let's just watch, because I mean we talked earlier about
we might have
the
talked about it in a great
line.
game, yeah.
Yeah, we talked about the Pustito Paco line. Just keep an eye on Bosbez. Keep an eye on Bosbez. I might be giving it away a bit here. And bonk.
Oh,
there it is.
Okay.
It's not just Pustito Paco. Bosbez has the line down as well.
Someone else figured it out, so it's going to be potentially a bit more of an even quote-unquote matchup compared to what we were fearing earlier, where we might have been thinking that Pustito Paco was the only one to have figured that line out, but now he's no longer alone in his island. There are 2 people who have gotten that little wall hit well dialed in, and it will be Bosbez in the lead, in a firm command of the round, a 10th ahead of Elcon as we make our way through the final checkpoint and the move into the finish line with the reactor. Bosbez, completely unassailable, drives a .047, getting close to dipping into the 54s. A quarter of a second ahead of Elcon. Pustito Paco a further quarter of a second down, and Hill cannot do anything. He's a full second behind Bosbez.
This is why I bigged him up, and this is why I was so confused that I didn't see him on the leaderboards, but that's probably because he has the offline world record. That was mere hundreds away from current world record from Boz there. If anything, he has that wall bang down even better than Pushty has. Wow. Okay, this map then, because it's first in the rotation, we're going to see it at least twice. And if Boz and Pushty can do that consistently and Elcon is not doing that line, this really blows this match wide open, and Elcon no longer is the favorite here, in my opinion.
Yeah, that definitely feels like that favorite position is starting to get a little bit eroded as we see this round develop. And look at that 3-way fight shaping up just within 50 milliseconds. Ghost within Ghost within Ghost. And look at the exit from Elcon from that final corner before the reactor. But again, Bosbez here to completely spoil the party for the Czech driver from Joel Esports, and will be able to clock in yet another 10-pointer with a 55.285. Again, nothing to scoff at, but our brains were kind of recalibrated with that .047 that he drove earlier. And reminder, the world record here on this map is courtesy of Massa with a 54.902. Oh, however, I must mention that he... Yeah, I must mention he's no longer the only member to be in the .9s. We did see Josh 6 minutes ago with a .945, and Afi just for half an hour ago with a .957 for reference.
Yep, so that's been broken since this morning then. I made all my like caster notes this morning, and the world record then was Stuffed with a 55.025. And now has been taken down almost a tenth, and the world record now sits with Massa. But Boz is knocking on the door of that world record, so close to the wall. He's 0.12 in front of Paco here, 0.13 as we go through the last couple of checkpoints. What time is this going to be? Loses a bit of time on the outside dirt. Paco pushing as hard as he can. Can Boz get into the finish here? Yes, he can. It's a 0.2 again, but like Elcon, who we talked about so much earlier in the seeding, just can't find a way past. It's 30 perfect points from Bozbez, 3 perfect rounds, and Elcon, despite finishing second every time, is now 12 points adrift already.
Yeah, this is looking like a clean sweep in the works for Bozbez, and Elcon, as you are mentioning or alluding to, does not really have any answer to what's the man from Great Britain can really offer there. There's not really any retaliatory thing that he can actually put forward here on this map. As we head into the 4th and final round, he can only watch as Pussy Topako and Bozbez streak into the distance until the wood. Bozbez goes very, very wide out there, promoting Elcon into the lead and Pussy Topako up into second as we make our way through the second sector, through these little bumps in the road on the dirt. Paco, Elcon, Hill also in the mix. It will be less than a tenth between 1st and 4th as we make our way through sector number 3, checkpoint number 8. The lineup for the grass road is perfectly negotiated. Now the full slingshot around that corner. Pussy Topako clipped with the right rear. Bozbez versus Elcon. It will be Elcon winning with a .341, a tenth ahead of Bozbez. Pussy Topako 3rd and Hill in P4, and thus Elcon will deny the clean sweep for the man from Great Britain, and will also help his cause as well with a 28-point tally at the end of the first 4 rounds with Bozbez. 36 out of 40. That's about, well, that's the second best outcome that you could hope for as a player in cup mode.
Yeah, 4 rounds down, and this match is already sick. Like, the fact that we've got 2 players doing that wallbang and just setting insane times. Every winning time there was within 0.3 of world record. This is the standard that we're at now, and it is pure entertainment, pure cinema, I must say, and I'm here for it. I love this kind of competition.
We're moving on to Cryomass for our second map, which is due to start in about 5 seconds thereabouts. The world records have been standing fairly stable over the course of the training period. Singh still holding the world record with a .608. In fact, not 1, not 2, but 3 players hold that same time with Brinken and Neon. And to get a motorsport reference, you know, remember in Canada, I don't know if it was last year or in 2024, remember when Verstappen and Russell did the exact same time for pole position? Well, it also has occurred one time before that, 1997 Jerez. Michael Schumacher, Jacques Villeneuve, Heinz-Harald Frentzen all posted the exact same time. And if I recall correctly, it was Schumacher who had the pole position by virtue of having established the time first. In the meantime, the first one who's going to be finding the wall is going to be Pussy Topako in that round. About a second dropped as a result of that mistake from the Hungarian driver. It will be Elcon leading with Bozbez in hot pursuit. Hill in 3rd place, keeping himself at a close distance, acting as a bit of an independent adjudicator as such in the battle between Elcon and Boz. Elcon is all out of shape. He was all over the track and then some in the entry towards the downhill right turn in checkpoint 11. Bozbez retakes the lead. Elcon trying to go for the full inside line. Not enough to dislodge Bozbez. And with a 16 millisecond margin, the Brit takes yet another 10-pointer. 4 10-pointers out of 5 rounds. Still an impressive haul of points, continuing to go the way of Boz.
Yeah, this is shaping up to be quite the battle between Boz and Elcon here. I was saying that Elcon might have the advantage here. We know how good he is on ice, but big mistake there gives an advantage to Boz. It was Pushito Paco and Hill with mistakes, but It looked like it was going to be Boz versus Elcon, but Elcon plagued slightly by some inconsistency there, has made a bigger mistake, 3 seconds back. I think Boz is favourite at the moment. He's won 4 out of 5 rounds, and I mean, that one was by the skin of his teeth, but as long as he gets over the line first, they all count.
Yeah, Bozbez is definitely looking like he's running away with this thing, as currently he finds himself locking horns and locked in battle with Pussy Topako, and now has to fend off the potential attack from Hill, courtesy of a bit of a slow ice slide from Bozbez through that end of Sector 2, beginning of Sector 3, but now he's back into the thick of the action and back at the sharp end of the field as he moves just ahead of Pussy Topako, then the jump towards the line. Paco again trying to go for a bit of a direct line beeline at the horizontal finish that you've been mentioning oh so much, and just like in the previous one with Elcon, 17 milliseconds this time, Bozbez still the winner.
Yeah, like, so far we've had a maximum of 60 points. Boz has 56. Like, if this is if you're watching the stream and this is your first time experiencing Bozbez in a competitive scenario, welcome. Get used to it. This is exactly what he's been doing for years in the British scene, and it is just, as a Brit, it is wonderful to see him putting it on the main stage here.
Definitely a sight to behold as well, as we do see, a huge clip from Hill ending into checkpoint number 6 with the rear of the car. That actually robbed him of a lot of speed, dropping the Czech driver down to last place. Elcon moving into the lead after that somewhat wide line, a bit more of a bell curve from Pussy Topako, which is definitely going to be deserving him quite a lot as he finds himself within the clutches of Bozbez for that second position. And now Elcon in with a position to retaliate and try to stem the flow of points going the way of Bozbez. And look at the gap, almost half a second, 4/10 in favor of Elcon compared to Pussy Topako in second, and Bozbez will have to be content with a lowly third, a 57.695 from Elcon. He is within a 10th of a second of the world record.
Yeah, and within 3 thousandths of his own PB on the online leaderboards as well. So a very nice time driven from Elcon there. If he can pull that out more regularly, I don't think Boz would have the answer, but you saw in round 2 that the mistakes were creeping in, as we see one made there from Hill, and it is going to be once again Boz, Pushtido Paco, and Elcon leading the charge. 1, 2, and 3. Elcon gets off to a good start, but still plenty of track left before we reach the finish line.
Still plenty of track left. In fact, there's still 7 checkpoints remaining, and this time it's Boz who gets actually caught out in the entry into the checkpoint number 6 in the clip with the right rear. So yet another point of another round of bleeding points towards the opposition for the man from Great Britain. And here at Paco, we've had 1, 2, 3 players who have hit walls on the inside of corners here in this round, and that touch from Paco allows Bozbez to move back up into second position to try and actually salvage some extra points from that apparent catastrophe round that just befallen the opposition of Elcon, who has not put a foot wrong so far, and he will not put a foot wrong at any point during that round, and will clock in at .988. Still a decent time. I mean, again, our minds were a bit recalibrated with that .69 that he drove a little bit earlier on, but still, Elcon, with that 10-pointer, will close the gap ever so slightly to Bozbez. Bozbez with 66 points at the end of 80 rounds is still going to, at the end of 80 rounds possible in 80 points possible in 8 rounds. I'm going to get through it eventually. It's still a pretty solid haul to start the first 2 maps of the rotation as we make our way through to Addiction up next. And yeah, maybe the answer to Bozbez's early round antics is starting to be found by Elcon especially.
Yeah, I mean, we're talking about Boz and Elcon in terms of, competitors, but it is very much a tale of 2 races here. And I feel like, Boz and Elcon on 66 and 57 points respectively, Pushtido Paco on 34, Hill on 27. I feel like this match is kind of already reaching a foregone conclusion in that Boz and Elcon will be going through. Pushtido Paco has shown, flashes of brilliance, but just hasn't been able to match the raw pace and consistency that Boz and Elcon have been able to put up. So, I mean, the match is still fantastically entertaining, but I feel like we may already know who is going to be advancing through to that upper bracket semi-final.
Yeah, we kind of refer to the similarities of Elcon and Pussy Topako. For me, the similarity between the two is that they both are kind of like maybe looking at as more glass cannons in a sense, in terms of they can be very fast but very crash prone. sometimes, but here it seems as though the crash from nature is starting to rear its ugly head for Pussy Topako, whereas Elcon was able to rein it in so far in the beginning of that match and looks to be continuing that trend as well on this map that is Addiction. Round 1 is underway as we go for the slingshot on the way towards checkpoint number 7. It will be BossBez emerging in the lead, and now Hale also coming back into the mix to make it a 3-way fight for second position, heading into checkpoints number 8 and sector number 3 through the reactor. Down we go. We go very close to the breeze blocks on the inside of the corner before checkpoint number 9, and it's still BossBez streaking ahead. Elcon in second place cannot really do anything at all to curtail the advantage that he has. 57.5, 88 for BossBez, finishing 2/10 clear of Elcon. Hill in third, Pussy Topako down in P4, still not finding his footing, and at 57.5, he's around 2.5 tenths away from Levon's world record, but still nothing to scoff at from Boz.
Yep, absolutely great time from Boz. Looks great across all maps. So did wonder if, you know, there would be one map that would look like his kryptonite, and Elcon, who's looked supreme across all maps so far, would maybe be able to just, you know, gain an advantage, but doesn't look like it. Elcon does have a much better start in this round, though. Boz carrying a little bit more speed onto the plastic, but Elcon just maintaining that gap until he drives straight into the pole on the inside there. It's Hill in the lead, but Boz carrying a lot more speed here. Should get the overtake done as we go into the outside dirt.
Watch out for the man from the UK as he tries to overhaul Hill, one half of the brothers duo along with Bestie, and now Hill finds himself under the most tremendous amount of pressure, but Boz missed the reactor. Great catch there, and thus he will drop down to second and even the third. Pussy Topako getting a little bit of reprieve here for once in this match, and it will be Hill clocking a 10-pointer in this spot with a .872. Pussy Topako second, BossBez in third, and Elcon down to fourth, as we do see Hill moving up to 41, and it will be up to 43 if my math is correct for Pussy Topako. Yep, 43.66 for Elcon, 80 for BossBez, who's crossing the 2/3 threshold, and we're way past the halfway mark already for Elcon at 66.
Yeah, Boz dropping an @mime in the chat there. Clearly thought that that reactor pad should have been a gate, but that's all part of the fun and games of this map. You know, you're so close to the walls, and you're so close to either getting that reactor or not, and it's so important as well. Like, we saw it on full display there. Boz dropped about a second just for, you know, missing that little pixel clip for that reactor, and that went from, you know, arguably a potential first place all the way down to third. He was thankful that Elcon had made a bigger mistake behind him, but doesn't look to be faltering on this round. 1/10 ahead in first place, 2/10 ahead now as we continue to go through the checkpoints, and you could see just the fine margins, like so close to the apexes, so close to almost not getting that reactor again. Full sending from Boz. Can he get the ending as well? What is this time going to be? Oh, so close on the outside as well with the bug slide. It's a 57.609, 3/10 off world record. Elcon just behind, Pussy Topako, and then Hill in fourth place. Boz extends his lead onto 90 points now, 3/4 of the way to that 120-point target.
And to continue the tension that you mentioned about round number 2 and that near miss of the reactor that's really sent BossBez plummeting, it definitely is a textbook visual of from hero to zero. That's definitely what we saw in that particular section where BossBez basically missed by a few pixels that trigger, and that was enough for him to lose some valuable points. Although with the gap that he was able to amass in the early part of the game, that is definitely something that he can afford to take. He can afford to take some of these rounds to try and basically refine his center and put himself back into the forefront of the field, as he currently is doing right now, and currently sitting 2/10 ahead of Pussy Topako, who managed to get away from Elcon and from Hill. Now it's going to be an intra-check battle for third position, as Paco is completely out of it in front, about 2/10 down compared to BossBez. BossBez, who still has a firm control over this round, making our way through to the the dirt slide / buck slide before the end, and it will be yet another .673 for BossBez, just 2/10 clear of Pussy Topako. Elcon third, and Hill in P4, and Boz will be crossing the triple-digit barrier at 100 exactly, right on the dot. 76 for Elcon, 53 for, I think it was Pussy Topako, and Hill with 47 as we circle all the way back towards Bourdon. And this is going to be where BossBez and Pussy Topako are going to be fighting it all over again with that very specific wallbang in checkpoint number 3.
Yeah, that's true. Boz won 3 rounds out of 4 and is now currently on 100 points. So Boz could get finalist here and convert it if he's able to get that wallbang consistently, which Elcon and Hill are both not employing. Pushti is getting that wallbang, but across the rest of the map, Bozbez is definitely stronger. I wonder tomorrow if we'll see Elcon doing that. I guarantee it. Like, you know, everyone has seen it now. Everyone knows it's faster. He's probably going to spend a good couple of hours training that tonight, I have to imagine.
Yeah, exactly. And yeah, you're totally right in pointing out the upper hand that Bozbez has in the latter parts of the map, especially sector number 2, where he seems to be making the bulk of his advantage over the Hungarian player as we are underway for the first round in the second rotation of Bourdon by Leroy and Feed. And it will be Postito Paco currently leading ahead of Elcon and Bozbez. There goes the ball bang from both Paco and Boz. Elcon currently still sitting pretty in third position. Actually, a three-way fight for the lead, still very much emerging as we go onto the wood. Two-wheel action from Elcon, trying to carry as much speed as he can. Currently emerging into the lead at the end of sector number 2. Paco in hot pursuit, about 6 milliseconds off. They're locked in ghost within ghost. Bozbez a little bit further behind in P3. Started at the third sector. Can the man from the UK pull a special surprise in those last few corners? Elcon and Paco starting to run away with it as we make our way through this little camper change in the grass before heading into the dirt. And did we clip on the side of Paco? I thought I saw a very, very small clip. And unfortunately for Boz, we completely flunked the finish. Yeah, I don't know how that happened there. Did he hit the sign on the way in? Because
he got the reactor the wrong way.
Yeah, but he got the reactor the one way because his car stopped rotating. I wonder if there was a little bit of a sign clip involved in there, if he went a little bit too far off the edge of the quarter pipe.
Does put him in 4th, but I don't think that's going to trouble him too much, although that round, I know, first, second, and now a 4th. Mistake at the end there. I mean, I guess he was trying to push because Elcon and Postito Paco were in front of him, and obviously wants to take the victory in the match because it will, on paper, give him an easier matchup in terms of seeding in the next round. So I'm sure he'll want to win. He's put himself in a great position to do so, although a little slowdown there on the wood is going to put him 4, 5, 6 tenths behind the rest of the pack.
Postito Paco, Elcon, and Hill thus benefiting from Bozbez's clip on the transition into the wood to do a bit of a battle between themselves. Currently, it is going to be Paco in the lead by about a tenth of a second, but look at the way Hill negotiates that turn before checkpoint 8. It's going to be kind of compromising his line towards the exit of checkpoint 8, though. He's going to be able to rein that back in. It's still looking very, very close and contested before the finish line. Elcon towards the very tail end of the reactor. Snipes Postito Paco's third place for 55 milliseconds. Elcon plus 10 points, Postito Paco plus 6 points in second place. Third place will go the way of Hale, and Bozbez will get yet another lonely 3-pointer and go to 106, and the gap is slowly but surely shrinking. Elcon now just 10 points adrift.
Yeah, last 2 rounds, Elcon 20 points, Bozbez 6 points. That is a 14-point swing in 2 rounds. So Elcon is now applying the pressure to Boz, who has made another mistake at the start of this round. Isn't going to get the drift either. That's a big no slide, so he's going to be over a second adrift. And once again, it is Elcon, Postito Paco, and Hill. Postito Paco full sent that, didn't he?
Did you see a two-wheel from
Paco? Just about got away with it.
Holy crap. I'm still in awe of what Paco was able to pull off with that two-wheel. That wasn't even on the wood. That was before the wood that he was able to pull off. Elcon still in the lead. Paco still in second, despite that Code Brown moment there as we make our way through the final corner.
Oh,
Elcon at the very tail end of the corner will hit with the right side of the score, the outside wall, and Hill with the comeback before the end, but it's not enough. They tie on time, but on virtue of the checkpoints, it will be Paco with the 10-pointer coming at a very, very opportune time. But my God, what was that round? Between Paco's two-wheel moment before the wood, the hit of the wall from Elcon at the very tail end of the near final corner, and then that tie at the finish between Hill and Paco. There's a lot to mail to brain there.
Yeah, and I mean, that mistake from Elcon feels very costly at this stage of the match as well, with Boz, trying to get up to that 120 points, and Elcon there missing out on 3 consecutive round wins. That would have put him significantly closer to Bozbez, who is having a slightly better round this time. It is Boz versus Elcon right at the front. Postido Paco just behind them. Only a 10th. Boz with that inside line gains a little bit of ground over Elcon, and it's down to the final couple of drifts. Elcon with a little bit more speed, more inside line as well. Onto the outside dirt. Who is going to get it better? Elcon maybe has the better exit. It is actually Boz. Who's going to snipe it away? Boz with a bit of a dodgy landing, but gets it through. 55.052 for Boz. What a round there. 10 points, still not enough to get him on to finalists, though. It's 119, just 1 point away. So next round, he'll be there.
Yeah, that's the dreaded score that nobody wants to see next to their name. 119 or just points limit -1. Instead of just going with the number, points limit -1 is always one of the worst things that you can see right next to your name in Trackmania. Bozbez is going to feel the quote-unquote pain, but of course, knowing the character of the guy, he's going to be putting that way behind him and just do the job that he needs to do to get the final point needed for finalist status as we circle back onto Cryomass. And that final round, that .052, does prove that he is capable of stellar times there. And as you said, he's been knocking on the door of that world record pretty much all day long. He's been there pretty much all day long, Bozbez, and I wonder if we're going to be seeing him maybe dip into the 54s by the end of the whole tournament. I feel like there's a high likelihood that he might make it happen there.
Oh yeah, there's definitely he's definitely capable of doing that. Like I've lost count the amount of times I've seen him set world records in rounds. It is unbelievable what he is able to do in a live Trackmania tournament. And I think what he's shown today is once again testament to that. But we cannot forget about Elcon. You know, Elcon was the top seed coming out of the qualifier event at the start of the day. So can't be counted out. The fact that Boz is currently beating Elcon in terms of points is pretty impressive. Elcon, though, is into a lead here by 0.15 as we go through the checkpoints. This seems like Elcon's strongest map. Would you agree?
This seems like Elcon's strongest map indeed. This is the one where he was able to kind of stem the flow of points that went the way of Bozbez.
Yeah.
Bozbez came in the first rotation with a bit of an advantage and was able to capitalize on that in the first 2 rounds, but then Elcon really stood up to stuck it up to the man in a sense and managed to get a fight back going as we make our way through the last few corners. And look at Bozbez, speak of the devil, managing to snipe away Elcon by 37 milliseconds with such an aggressive setup for the horizontal finish in the risky pin. 57.845, 37 milliseconds ahead of Elcon, Postido Paco third, and Hill in P4. And thus, Bozbez will get the finals, but he will do it in fine style because he will deny Elcon and some very, very big points that would be needed for finalist status. He needs to absolutely win this round, otherwise he will be on 118 at the very most.
Yeah, the ending from Boz is crazy. Like, it's very slight, but he just kind of goes onto the outside dirt border, and somehow, magically, that gives him a little bit extra speed for those last couple of turns, and that speed just snowballs all the way to the finish, and was able to get that snipe done. So incredible round for Boz. Didn't even need to send it. Like, I mean, I guess in the context of denying points, but he was going to be on finalist no matter what, and my word, do we have a close round here. Boz is currently in 4th place, but he is only 600ths behind Elcon in 1st.
This is looking so close at the moment. It's still looking very close in Sector 3. Maybe Hill falling by the wayside a little bit. This time, the first big mistake will be coming from Postido Paco, who clipped with the left rear on the outside turn before checkpoint number 12. Elcon versus Bozbez. Will Bozbez be denied, or will he be able to seal the deal? He will not be able to seal the deal for 4 milliseconds. Elcon wins it with a .848 versus a .852. Postido Paco third, and Hill in P4, and we have a double finalist situation here for Boz and Elcon.
I mean, I think we know who's going to win at this point. Postido Paco is currently sat on 87 points, but it's the bragging rights. It's the, you know, quote, easier matchup in the semi-final. Can Boz beat the #1 seed here? Finalist versus finalist, 1 and 2 on the track. Elcon just in front of Boz by about half a tenth as we go to the midpoint of the map. Boz with a big release, though, and is not going to get this outside dirt turn very well. Elcon doesn't get it very good either, and Postido Paco into the lead could deny both of them.
Elcon looking to try and find an aperture to try and get past the Hungarian, but look at the gap he's been able to pull off. 1.5 tenths for Paco, although we did see a much better setup for Elcon, who drifts a little bit wide because of the wheels that hadn't been completely back up to temperature just yet. And Pussy Paco might be keeping the dream alive, and Elcon heads first into the pole, and it will be Pussy Paco taking the win with a .048 of 58, mind you. Paco will move on to 97 points and 73 points for Hill.
One more round here on Cryomass, and I would say that Elcon, this is the only map really where I'd say he consistently has had the better of Bozbez. See if he can convert it here, and then we will go on to another round or two on Addiction. Final round on Cryomass coming up. Oh, there goes Elcon.
Well, Elcon with a big slide out, actually. I wonder if it was a slide out or if he actually hit on the front.
He hit the inside, completely hit the inside.
Oh, that is such an unfortunate way to go out of that round as well. And Boss currently sitting in the lead by about 1/10 of a second. Oh, and that very, very slight wall brush from the right rear all the way up the hill will be costing Bozbez so much. And it will be a Czech Republic versus Hungary fight, and it will be Hill that will be leading the fight ahead of Pussy Paco by 50 milliseconds. But look at the speed from Paco at the exit of checkpoint 10 and into checkpoint 11. The Hungarian player makes his way through to the lead of the field with just a couple of corners remaining as we go through the grass road, up the road, and now onto the finish line. 58.015 versus a .175, and it will be Pussy Paco with yet another plan pointer. +6 for Hill, who will be moving on to 79 points, and Paco moves into the triple-digit territory at the end of that rotation of Cryomass.
Yeah, surely there's no comeback for Paco here, right? Has to, at least 2 rounds, he'd have to win both of them to deny Boz and Elcon. I can't see that happening. Maybe he can get onto finalists, because obviously, you know, we've got to get a first place out of the way first and put some pressure on whoever's remaining for that second place spot. That could start to make things interesting. What do you think? Do we just see Boz and Elcon take this, or is there a way back here for Paco?
I feel like there is such an off chance. It's like right off screen, right there. There's such an off chance that Paco could make it, could pull it off, but did the momentum go too late in his favor? That's the main question. I feel like it will be definitely the momentum going a little bit too late in favor of the Hungarian. So I reckon he will be going in finalists, but it will not be for the first spot in the match. It will be for second place at the very most, and it will be a tough fight with Elcon. That's the way I see things going down.
So you think Boz gets first place, and then it's between
I would think Boz will close this out. Yeah.
Yeah, I think I agree. Ultimately, I think Boz has looked the better player overall. Elcon, like you say, like you used the term glass cannon earlier, has just, you know, brought out the big guns, but then has also had some serious capitulations as well. I do say that. Bozbez is currently 2/10 behind Elcon, who is in first place as things stand. Does everyone make the outside dirt turn cleanly? Yes, they do, and Elcon maintains his lead.
Elcon maintains his lead, and currently Bozbez under pressure from Paco, but Paco maybe having his eyes on a bigger prize, that of the first place held by Elcon at the moment, but he's going to take a lot of bravery into that final sector, and now this time it's Elcon slowing down. Bozbez moving up into the lead of the race, and on the first round of asking here on Addiction, despite a bit of a headbutt of the arch there, as you saw, Bozbez will close the deal with a 57.803, and he will be the first of the drivers from this match confirmed into the next round of eliminations.
What a round. I didn't even really see the mistake from Elcon. I just saw him, you know, losing speed and going offline. So Elcon now still the only player remaining on finalist. Paco on 113. So we'll need to win this round. Deny Elcon is currently in first place, but it is a slender lead. Only 2/10 or 3/10 as we go through the checkpoints. Elcon does have some catching up to do here, and Paco needs to hold his nerve.
Paco currently still holding a 3/10 lead, and he will benefit from that mistake from Elcon, that clip on the inside before checkpoint number 6. And this is looking like the party is being delayed a little bit for one of the lead players in the Czech Republic. Pustito Paco may be onto something, maybe just making the dream happen. A double finalist for second place is definitely on the cards, will be likely to happen after that round is all said and done, as long as he does not fumble the finish. He does not fumble it with a .754, half a second ahead of Hill. Elcon gets denied yet another attempt, and it will be a lock-in fight between Pustito Paco and Elcon for that last spot remaining in the next round of eliminations.
Double finalist to send Elcon to the lower bracket potentially. Number 1 in seeding. I think everyone after that seeding thought, yeah, Elcon seems like he's got this in the bag. Apparently not. Really, apparently not. Paco with a wide line to start things off, but does carry speed through. He's going to be about a 10th behind. That's a small clip, and the lines are not coming through for Paco. It's going to have to be Hill to deny Elcon potentially, although Elcon is not driving brilliantly either. Hill
Elcon
now with, what, half a 10th in front?
Yeah, Elcon hit the corner before checkpoint 4 with the full right side of his car. So yeah, he's almost a full second behind. 8/10. That's the gap between the two Czech drivers there, and Hill with an unlikely opportunity to keep the entertainment going just for one more round. Even if it's only for one more round, it's still more entertainment coming our way and coming your way here on the official Trackmania channel as we make our way through the dirt slide. Hill should be able to secure this one, and he will with a .708. Elcon and Pustito Paco get denied. Paco gets denied for his first ever attempt at finalist in this match, mind you, and Hill moves on to 98.
You know, I wondered if we'd see some team orders there, you know? Czech player in front of Czech player, and Elcon with, yeah, objectively the better chance in the tournament. I was wondering if we were going to see Hill pull off to the side, but all players still maintaining the highest level of competition possible. And once again, now we have Paco versus Elcon. Elcon and Paco both making mistakes in the previous round. The pressure continues to mount here. Who is going to be the first to falter? Who is going to be the first to make a mistake? Or are we going to see an absolutely banger time come out from both of these players?
They make their way past the traps of the first half of the second sector, currently making their way up the crest in that slingshot. They're still locking horns. They're within the ghosts of each other. 60 milliseconds between first and second. Paco emerging into the lead at the end of sector 2 and entering sector number 3. Elcon trying to retaliate in the reactor part before checkpoint number 9. Just edges into the lead by 1 millisecond. Now trying to get a bit more sizable lead. Heading into the dirt slide before the snapback. Paco with a bit more speed. Is it enough? Whoa. The answer is a no for 300ths of a second. Elcon with a .602 will seal the deal and move along with Buzzpez to the next round of eliminations. And unfortunately for Pustito Paco and for Hill, it is the end of the road here in the mixed solo tournament. And yeah, just as we feared, and as we mentioned a little bit earlier on before the map got started, we feared that the momentum got back too late in favor of Paco, and it sure is been confirmed there.
I mean, he did damn well to make it to finalist, though. You've got to give him that. Like, halfway through the match, we basically dismissed them. We were like, yep, I know Boz and Elcon are fighting it out, but they're going to make it through. Paco really made it tough, and I mean, it was thousandths over the line. It could have quite easily, if he just had a little bit more exit speed from that bug slide, could have sniped it at the line. What a match. Crazy match. Boz beating the number 1 seed, Elcon making it through by the skin of his teeth, Paco and Hill dropping down to that lower bracket.
Indeed, it was a very, very stout match, and I think our hosts are definitely not going to be in denial of that particular statement as we bring back on board New Lake and Max Formal. And yeah, again, your perspective on the match. And I got to say, Elcon was looking a little bit more troublesome and having to go through a bit more harder times than what I first anticipated.
Yeah, absolutely. I mean, huge push by Pustito Paco at the end, just not quite able to make it stick in that final round, but what a final round it was as well. And I mean, Orion, you know, we were kind of talking about a little bit at the start as maybe the two people on this desk who are the most familiar with Buzzpez and what he's been doing domestically, that he's potentially been slept on a little bit by the international kind of community, by maybe more casual viewers who are not, again, aware of what's going on fairly within the British Isles. Huge match by Buzzpez. I mean, you know, heading into now the semi-final looking incredibly strong.
I will say as well, Boz won his quarterfinal. Epos won his quarterfinal. Josh won his quarterfinal. Like, you know, the
That's-
Brits
yeah.
taking over,
That's
guys.
good innings. That's good innings right there.
Nobody
Yeah.
wants that.
This is formal. I'm thinking back to a few hours before when we were watching Mudda, and I think it was someone. There was a lot of Commonwealth unity coming from you earlier in the day, and it appears to have completely disintegrated since Australia has
vanished.
been knocked out.
Reduced to
look,
atoms.
Look, all right. It's a bit rough out there because yes, all the British drivers are getting through, but what about the two Germans who got through? Okay, Germany's still looking pretty strong, and yeah, you can acknowledge the fact that two of them probably would go through when all three of them are in the same heat, but they
Yep.
took care of business. Okay, they got rid of Thomas, sent Thomas Jean back down to the lower bracket. So there you go. It's not all British doing well. Germany is up towards the front, right
Yeah.
beside them.
As many people predicted, yeah.
G-Geek, I'm looking at the semifinals right now, and I know you're going to be at least as excited as I am about semifinal number 2. Epos, Leicester, Elcon, and stuff.
Yeah.
That's
This-
oh my
this-
god, what a match.
You know, you could take that, put that as like the final CCB, and people are like, yeah, I'll watch that. Like this is such a stout match. I mean, the first semifinal is no slouch either. Granadi, Bosbez, Elcon, and Brinken. Brinken, we're gonna be pulling for you, buddy. But yeah, that second semifinal, man, it looks so
it's
so
the
stout.
Epos
It's very
Stuffed
exciting.
bottle that we'd been watching for like the last couple of years. That was really it was Epos and Stuffed were the two like exciting new players coming through, and both of them were lighting up the world. Stuffed then goes and takes his year break, and in the meantime, you had kind of New Prime and more recently Leicester having really strong performances. So Epos, Leicester, and Stuffed all in that match, and then I mean Elcon is always just fun to watch, Orion, as he was in that last match, because you never quite know what you're getting. I feel like with Elcon in a match.
Yeah.
Yeah,
exactly.
I mean, I would argue opposite. You're getting absolutely blistering pace in the occasional
That's
driving
true.
into a pole.
Yeah.
Well, that's I look at that and I feel like after that last heat, Elcon again, similar issues where it's just like looks really good and then consistency comes back to bite them. So I feel like they've got something to prove. But yeah, that semifinal too scary. But what about down in the lower bracket as well?
What about down in the lower bracket? Exactly my thoughts. It's still pretty spicy down there at the moment. Lots of very good players. Afi versus Gwen, a matchup that is happening in the lower bracket quarterfinals. Lingo still hanging on down there. He's going to be up against Pushtido, Paco, and Ender. Massa still alive in that lower bracket. So all 4 members of Big, including the Big Academy, still in this. All 4 of the German players have managed to stay in to this point. Full credit to them on that one. We'll see now, though, with 3 of them in the lower bracket, 2 of them in the lower bracket, how they managed to do at this point. But yeah, I mean, look, coming back to you, G-Geek, which of these matches is the one that just jumps out at you?
Well, for me, like match number 1, without a question, Afi, Gwen, Thomas-Jean, and Smiley Bob, the last 2 of the representatives of Switzerland in that same matchup. Afi and Gwen, actually, that's a bit of an irony because let me cast your minds back to 4 years ago, the ZRT Cup in Bercy. These two won the tournament together, arguably one of the biggest Trackmania tournaments at the time. That was followed by thousands and thousands of people and sold out the Hotel Arena in Bercy. And these two are now pitted against each other, which is really the whole thing. And yeah, I talked about Switzerland having its last 2 representatives in the lower bracket and in the same match, France as well. Gwen is, of course, playing against Afi and Thomas-Jean, but Novo, having lost, of course, to Brinken a little bit earlier on, will have to face New Prime, Alex W, and Neon. So it's definitely going to be a little bit of a tougher battle than anticipated to keep alive in the lower bracket of that particular mixed tournament here for Novo.
Look, it's okay, G-Geek. If they fail, you can join all of the Southern Hemisphere in the cockpit while we apparently watch the British just take everything over. All right, there will be a home for you if they do falter.
Gentlemen, we are now at the end of our shift, the early shift of day 1 of broadcast for the Trackmania games. With that, we are wrapping up the mixed solo for today. The rest of the mixed solo will be finishing tomorrow. We still have Tech Team and Ice duo to go this afternoon as well. It's going to be a ton of fun. I mean, look, this tournament is great, and it's like 7 tournaments rolled into one. What more could you ask for? Before we sign off for our shift, I'm going to go around and I'm going to ask a question about the mixed solo. G-Geek, I'm going to come to you first on this one. At this point, with the players remaining, who do you think is winning the mixed solo?
Who do I think is winning the mixed solo with the remaining players? I would put my money on Leicester because honestly, he's been really, really stout all. Well, he's been stout all day long,
Yeah.
but he's also been stout beyond the Trackmania games, and I feel like he definitely could pull it all the way through. I know this might feel a little bit weird as I see all my fellow countrymen down in almost below sea level, then to cheer for well, maybe not cheer, but like predict that someone from Germany will go for it. But I mean, Leicester, you've seen it a little bit earlier on during the broadcast. He's definitely nothing to want to continue to take notice of, and I feel like he could go all the way to take the gold for Germany there.
Going to be fun to watch Leicester tomorrow. Again, though, he's in that match around with Epos, with Stuffed, with Elcon. Any of those? Anyone else that you have eyes on to maybe take this whole thing down tomorrow?
I still think Epos. I said Epos first start of the day. I maintain we haven't seen him yet. I mean, we've seen Boz beat the best player from the seeding, which was Elcon, and arguably Epos is a better mixed player than Boz these days. Boz is going to kill me for saying that, but that's my personal opinion.
Yeah.
I still think Epos takes it. I'm unchanged from the start of today.
Look, I'm looking further north. I'm looking at Sweden. I'm looking at Brennan at the moment. I thought we didn't really get to see him too much.
Yeah.
Brennan.
Yeah, Brinken.
Yeah.
Bryn. Yeah, Bryn. Really. I'm looking there just because, again, every player whose name I mispronounced throughout the entirety of this broadcast has come back to bite me. So I had to give him that little bit of a little sprinkle in there. But more importantly, I'm going all the way back to the seeding. We didn't see them much on broadcast, but seeding, they looked very strong. In fact, the only person who kind of looked more consistent to them was Elcon. And we kind of learned in that last quarterfinal how far Elcons consistently will lie. So I'm going with Sweden. I think that's going to be the case. And also, I just can't bring myself to pick a Union Jack, man. There's too many of them. So,
You could have started off with that statement and everybody would have understood it.
True. I had to, but like that's the truth of it. I just can't pick.
Look, I will point out there's so many good players still in the lower bracket. I have to say, I'd be scared about sleeping players like Gwen, like Afi, both of whom are fully capable of taking off the longer a bracket goes as well. Lingo still down there. Pushtito Paco so close to still being in the upper bracket. Couple of Norwegian players still in there. God, the mixed solo is going to be so good tomorrow. We will wrap things up and get a grand final in this discipline tomorrow. For now, though, this is us signing off from the early shift, signing off the mixed solo for the day. Do not go anywhere, though. This stream will be back in not a huge amount of time as we head into the tech team and the ice for the back half of this Saturday. See you all very soon.